Hello and welcome to Always Bored Never Boring. Look at the time, it's already March. It seems like only yesterday, but it was way back on the 1st of January that I made a short video to showcase a gift I had received for Christmas from my wife. Totally not LEGO Space Marine minifigures. Now, as you may or may not know, I like LEGO. Always have. And yes, I am excited about the news that LEGO are now producing sets and minifigures under the D&D license. So naturally, I would love to see Games Workshop and LEGO collaborating to produce a range of official 40k construction kits. I know it's not going to happen. We all know LEGO are a bit iffy about certain brands, and while they are happy to make products for a license where Murder Hobo is a viable career, and doubly happy to make products for a license where younglings don't have a high chance of becoming oldlings, 40k is out of the question. The grim darkness of the grim dark far future is just a little too grim and too dark for them. But my wife, knowing all this, found these unofficial minifigures and gifted them to me. It was supposed to be a joke, but these are actually really good. They were well made, they look great on my shelf, and if you want to see more about them, you will find a link to my full review in the video description below. Fast forward to today, and my wife has done it again. She was on the website Wish, and she found sets of totally not official building block minifigures for the Imperial Guard, or Astra Militarum if you prefer, which I don't. One set contains 6 minifigures, each bagged up with all the accessories they require to survive because, you know, all of that grim darkness. And I believe these are the same minifigures that have also turned up on Etsy, Temu and eBay at different points. Sometimes they vanish from certain platforms. Can't imagine why that would be. But anyway, here we have our first bagged guard. He doesn't look too happy to be in there and appears to have been hideously dismembered, but we can do something about that easily enough. Good grief. In the far future there is only war. Rest in pieces, soldier. We have here a regular grunt. Very stern expression. Worth noting, all of these heads only have a single face printed on them, so there's no changing expressions by breaking their necks. There's printing all the way around the legs, but only on the front and back of the torso. Nevertheless, all that detail looks really nice. Poor chap has had a serious mishap. He's got both his arms off. More printing here on the sleeve, which is good to see. Hands are separate and just plug in. There is a good solid click, but even though the hands aren't going to fall off, they still don't quite fit correctly. I'll talk more about that in a moment. The arm simply pushes into the torso. There's another chunky click to let you know when it's in, and while the arm has the normal range of motion for a minifigure, it's all quite stiff. The same is true for the legs. I consider that a good thing. I would much rather be able to position the limbs and then they stay exactly where I put them. Moving on, we have the second arm. We can rebuild him, we have the technology. So it's just the same situation here, and the hand protrudes just a little too far from the sleeve. It's not really noticeable, but probably noticeable enough. This arm also goes on with the same solid click, and our guard is now armed. He's not dangerous yet though. He needs some armour and weapons if he wants to make it in the meat grinder of the Imperial Guard. That being the case, let's load him up with some body armour. This piece is made in solid green, but it has different decals on each pauldron, which is neat. On the left we have a simplified version of the Cadian gate, on the right we have the squad number 812. A few rough nubs and some visible mould lines, but overall not too bad at all. To fit it, we must first decapitate our brave hero. Oh, the humanity. Then we slot the armour over the neck peg. Again, everything is a really snug fit, there's no looseness about the minifigure at all, which is great, and then the head goes back on. Next we have the helmet in the same green plastic with a nice Imperialis insignia on the front. It looks the part, but as with the armour we do have a visible line over the top of the piece, and there is an ugly, slightly rough nub on one side. That will need to be trimmed off carefully. The helmet just pushes on, and now we are really starting to look the business. Welcome to the Roughnecks. Rico's Roughnecks. Oops, wrong franchise. Moving on, we have a little backpack with a bedroll, just a chunk of coloured plastic. No painting, but there is still some nice detail in there. And that is just going to push directly onto the massive peg on the back of the body armour. Nice and snug, that is not just going to fall off of its own accord either. The last thing we need is a weapon, and we have the standard issue lasgun. It's just a piece of coloured plastic without any extra decals. A bit more detailing would have been nice, but I'm being a bit picky there. Also, I do have to point out there is a rather unpleasant nub from the manufacturing process on the bottom. Fortunately, it's not very visible. To position the las gun across the soldier's chest, I've done the old Lego trick of reversing the right hand, so the angle of the fingers moves the weapon closer to the figure's chest. Then all we have to do is attach him to his black display stand. And there he is. I think that looks pretty awesome. Who wouldn't want to play their favourite tabletop wargames using guys like this? Yes, there are a few minor things, some rough nubs and the hands that don't seat correctly in the arms, but overall I think that looks great. But you cannot build an empire on the back of one soldier, so let's take a look at his 5 friends. Our second guardsman has a Voxcaster, so we get a completely different face design and a much larger backpack with all the communications equipment. This one is armed with a bolt pistol, and we have different designs on the shoulders of the body armour. The right pauldron is completely blank, while the left has the 306 squad number with the 0 stylised as a skull, designating command. As it turns out, each of the 6 figures has different body armour because there are 3 different squad numbers for the left shoulder, 306, 190 and 812, all examples taken from the Codex Astra Militarum book, and those 3 numbers are used in conjunction with 4 different designs for the right pauldron, or 3 if you don't count blank as a design, to ensure no duplication. The only real issue is again the hands. If we zoom in a bit, we can see there is a lip and then a much thinner part. The entirety of that thinner part should be concealed inside the sleeve. The issue here is that every handpiece has a small raised ring on that thin part of the wrist. There is a recess inside the sleeve of the arm, and when you push the hand into the sleeve, that little raised ring clicks into the recess, forming the connection. The problem is either the position of the recess or the position of the ring is slightly off, leading to an overhang. You can resolve this issue by using a sharp craft knife to carefully scrape away the ring on the handpiece. The handpiece then slides in all the way to the raised lip of the hand itself. The downside is, of course, there is no longer a ring to lock into the concealed recess inside the sleeve, so the hands pull on and off with ease. All things considered, it's really probably better just to leave them as they are, otherwise you're just going to end up with a lot of little Luke Skywalkers running around the place. Moving on, our third guardsman looks like he's in desperate need of a horse. We have another different facial expression, one that seems entirely suitable considering the massive chain glaive the poor sap is lugging about. That cannot be good for the lower back. For his body armour we have a blank right pauldron and squad number 190 on the left. The chain glaive weapon, I think that's what it's supposed to be, is an odd choice. I think sometimes they are used by Imperial Guard Rough Riders, but I don't think it's a common weapon choice. It's fun, but I probably would have rather seen some more ranged specialist weapons, flamers, grenade launchers or melter guns. As with the rest, there are a few rough nubs here and there that could be trimmed off, but not all that much to complain about. Our fourth guardsman also has a melee weapon. It appears to be a double-handed power axe. My feelings are the same as for the glaive thing. It does look cool, but a flamer or grenade launcher would have been cooler. We have another facial expression. He really does look like he means business with that axe. And we have a different symbol on the right pauldron. It appears to be a medic badge. Not sure this guy looks like a medic though. With that axe, I'm sure he's going to be giving out a lot more headaches than he cures. Fifth in line, we finally bring out the big guns. This one is cool. It's another command unit with a Voxcaster, and it has an identical headpiece to our previous Voxcaster. But this guardsman has a plasma gun. The unique pauldron insignia seems to be the fire support chevron, but with a star possibly identifying rank. I'm not sure on that. I'm also not entirely sure that giving a plasma gun to the guy who is carrying all your expensive and essential communications equipment is the right choice. But there we go. I really do like this one though. The plasma gun is really chunky. If you watched my video about the Space Marine minifigures, you will know that one of those had a plasma gun with a clear plasma coil, which was ridiculously cool. No such luck here. The whole gun is cast in the green plastic. Still, it looks great. Last, but certainly not least, we have a squad sergeant with a massive chainsword and the classic las pistol. Yet another new headpiece. He is screaming his orders into a mic and looks about as commanding as you can expect a minifigure to look. The chainsword is good, but it's not as good as the one that came with the previous Space Marine figures I reviewed, and there are some noticeable scuffs and ugly marks, especially around the hilt. These appear to have been caused during the creation process, possibly while the chainsword was being cleaned up. The right pauldron is blank, the left pauldron has the 812 squad number. We also get some different printing on the left arm, as it has the triple chevron indicating a Cadian infantry squad sergeant. Top quality detail. All told, I would say this is a really nice set of minifigures. They look the part, the detailing is good, weapons and armour are pretty accurate, and there's a lot of variety. Between the different facial expressions, armour designs, backpacks and weapons, no two are the same. If you bought more sets, you could continue to mix and match the loadouts for even more variety. However, I think for people who want to do some army building, a few more lasguns wouldn't have gone amiss. The trusty lasgun is a common sight among the guard, and we only get one here. Don't get me wrong, having a variety of weapons is good, but it's probably not going to benefit people looking to make a more tabletop accurate squad. And I would definitely have preferred to see the glaive and axe replaced with either more specialist weapons, a flamer seems like a serious omission, or even just a couple more regular lasguns. The minifigures go together really well, and all the joints are solid. The plastic doesn't feel brittle or weak. They have the feel of a quality product. The only real complaint I have on that front is the way the hands stick out just a little bit too far from the sleeves. So ultimately, I'm happy with them. I would say the Space Marines I showcased previously are better quality. They have a slight edge with little details like the translucent plasma coil on the plasma gun, the skull pommel on the chainsword, and the side printing on the torsos. But there really isn't a whole lot in it. And I suppose you do want to see them side by side, don't you? No, they aren't true scale. Our Space Marine is bigger, he gains a little height from his boots, his belt and his helmet, but he doesn't tower over the guardsmen like he really should. That doesn't worry me though, I'm only using these for display. There we have it though, a quick look at some unofficial Imperial Guard minifigures that are not going to look out of place alongside popular branded construction toys. And yes, I am aware you can get unofficial Death Corps of Krieg minifigures too. That is for another video. Because that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.